What's up, witches? Here's a look at some bonus behind-the-scenes footage from this week's episode of the BetterWitch podcast.
Yeah. It sounds like it's like networking. Like I'm learning as a new small business owner. You know, I'm very much like I'll get it done with no people kind of person. You know what I mean? And I'm opening this or building this retail space, this work share space, this conjure shop, and it's like, oh. No, I need people. Like I need others. Like this, I can't buy all my own tarot decks. Like I need people that need these things or that have resources, attorneys, CPAs, things like that. And I'm learning that I cannot do this by myself, and I don't want to.
No.
And so if you are a practitioner that is looking for a practice that might put you in a position to be more held, more assisted, and have a network, then it sounds like Voodoo has that structure kind of naturally built into it. And that's important to know about it. It very much feels like it's not a solitary practice. Though I imagine that you have your own practice outside of maybe what you share with your house. Is that?
Yeah, there's certainly practices that we do, take care of ourselves. And, if somebody's not able to get here, then they take part in those practices by themselves and things like that. But it's still just a tiny piece of a larger network, like I can do something on my own. And then when I go see my priestess or my godmother, I can say, oh, I've been working on this. And maybe they'll have another idea that will help with it or tell me something else that could be, useful in the situation. So I think that, there's definitely, it's not less work. And I've had people say to me they don't want to join because it's too much work. But as far as I'm concerned, do you want to do, we call it front loading or back loading. Do you want to do the work ahead of time so you don't have problems later? Or do you want to not do it? And then, like I mentioned with the car accident and the Ogun blessing, like maybe if that woman had dedicated and gotten a reading and saw what was there and left offerings before, it wouldn't have turned into this situation where, oh my gosh, now there's an accident and now this has to be done and this has to be done. It's like spiritual maintenance, and then you're prepared for what life does throw at you. It's not like everything's going to be easy. Nobody has an easy life, but all we can do is hopefully have the tools that we can make it through to the end with, sanity and success.
Right. And whoever you are, whatever your walk of life, I think it's incumbent on all of us to educate ourselves about Voodoo and the other ATRs that are out there that you can learn about and have a good working knowledge of the practice. And now we know the steps to take if you feel more than just called to learn, but to actually practice, that we want to with respect, educate ourselves about houses that may be near us or that we maybe can find more about and get readings from folks. I know that there are like ruling bodies of Voodoo houses. Like there are some like more political structures around Voodoo. Is that a place to go if I am, let's say, looking to find someone who gives these types of readings or who has their own houses? Is Google a good enough place for me to start? Voodoo house near me? Is that gonna give me is that too, or is there another resource?
Like you're probably gonna find a bunch of scams. Like
exactly,
getting into Google
nobody
is
wants
hard.
to do that. So it's like, I know that there are federations and there are like ruling bodies in Africa, in Haiti, etc., that give certification to houses that can do that. Is that somewhere I can go? Do they have perhaps databases or somewhere I can look?
I mean, I would recommend, like I said, just looking for the local, especially if you wanted Haitian Voodoo. I would see if there are any, Haitian drumming classes in your area, Haitian dance classes in your area, that kind of thing. Because or is there a little Haiti and you're, if you're in Miami or New York or something, or even New Orleans, is there a little Haiti where you can go and meet other Haitians and talk to them and see what the story is, And again, don't just run it and gimme, but take time to reveal your own personality respectfully so they know you're not a crackpot, so they know you're not a nut. And then eventually ask them, do they know anybody? Because that's going to be way more valuable than just Googling it. You're going to find the people who paid, to sell you some sort of voodoo oil or voodoo doll for hundreds of dollars, and it's going to be a scam.
Right. It does seem like it's a process where you have to start really local and not necessarily start from the place of I am trying to initiate, but start from the place of I would like to learn, and let that take you to meeting people, attending events, or doing things where you can get closer.
Well, like I just said, I think if you want to initiate, you don't know what goes into it. You know what I mean? It's a huge responsibility, and you don't know what you get out of it. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to automatically, everything is magically fixed, snap, because you've initiated. That's more about clarity. It's more about direction in your own life. Maybe you didn't have, and I think this is part of the reason it's hard for a lot of people. Maybe they didn't have the most supportive birth family. So now going and taking on another family, especially when you hear these horror stories, is difficult, but you can still see the value of it, probably. You know what I mean? You can't drive yourself to the hospital. You can't birth yourself. Right. You can't
right.
do all these things 100% by yourself, even if you want to, you can't. So it's good to have that support system. It's good to have those things out there, just because it's a network of information, and it will be people that you can connect with. Go to your local Haitian restaurant, see what the foods are, start there. I think that's pretty much what I focus on in my books, that like maybe you can't find somebody to get a reading, or maybe you don't have a local house that you could join, but you maybe have a Haitian restaurant you could go to. You could find a Haitian recipe online. You could find a Haitian market. Start eating some of those foods. Start asking for that presence to be more available in your life.
Yeah, and I love that you talked about food, because I have already thrown it into my cart the second I saw that you have the African American Ritual Cookbook. I was like, oh, gotta have it. Gotta have it. Amazon, do what you do and get me this right away. So that is in the cart, ready to go, because I'm so excited about that. And I saw that it was available by Kindle, so I think I'm getting it on Kindle. Is it available in print?
It hasn't been available in print for ages, and my publishers won't let me reprint it because there's something in my contract about I can't self-publish real books, only ebooks.
Okay. So the way to find it is online, but it is still available as a Kindle book. So I'm definitely going to be getting that. And I love that you mentioned food, because I do think that that's a great way to just learn, period. It's a great way to learn about culture. It's a great way to learn different languages, because you can learn the ingredients or the items in the languages of the items and things of that nature. And can you tell us a little bit just about food in terms of the voodoo practice? How important is the cooking of food as offerings? Is cooked food often used as an offering or a part of ritual? Do I need to be a good cook to practice voodoo? Are they going to kick me out because I can only make ramen in the microwave? Or like, what's the role of food in the practice?
No, I think food is intrinsic. It's about nourishing somebody from inside and out. So yes, you can join a house if you're not a great cook. That's why we join a house, because then hopefully that person will put you in charge of something like rice. Although I did do my cooking class once, and this woman standing there making rice, poking at it every minute. And I'm like, does she have some new way to make rice? And her husband was like, no, she felt inspired by the moment and she thought she could cook this rice. It was nasty. It was like a big giant clump.
Okay, I feel a little bit attacked because I can cook. I promise. I promise you, I can throw down in the kitchen. Me and rice.
Yeah.
Me and rice have some type of a problem. I don't know what it is. I cannot get my rice right. I refuse to break down and get a rice cooker and cheat. I'm just like, I am gonna learn it. But until then, my husband and I are stuck eating my typically very mushy rice. So I'm like, I feel that person. Like, that would be me. Like, is it right? Why'd you give me the rice? Like, give me the roast pork and I'll handle it. Give me the rice and it's going to be a fail. So I feel that person for sure.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. But cooking is a part of the practice, and it's there are traditional foods that I imagine are kind of integral to ritual that you really probably do need to learn and things like that, or that will be a part of your
right. I mean, especially for the feast days and things like that, there are traditional foods that are eaten, traditional foods that are made. They're usually staple foods. You said I have the cookbook. I also have a bunch of recipes on my blog, Voodoo Universe, that people can check out if they're interested in cooking some of these things. And I think for me, food is great because it doesn't matter where somebody's at. Like we've been doing a lot of filming lately. I can have a crew of people from Hollywood in here that don't know nothing about spirituality, that don't know nothing about anything. But if they eat the food, if they share in that, then they're going to get some of that ashe. They're going to get some of that ritual energy, some of that good feeling, some of those blessings that we want to share with people, So it doesn't matter who you are. You could be 2, you could be 102, you could be demented in the corner. It doesn't matter. You're going to get something out of it.
Good food, right? Yeah, you're going to get something out of it.
We have a big tradition of feeding homeless people too, so that's always something that we do in all the ATRs, that food gets donated, all of this about giving back to the community.
Yeah, community life, that village mentality, I think, is something that you see still alive and strong in the practice, that we help each other and we do our best to help our communities. And that's very much probably different from the image that you see in mainstream in terms of voodoo practitioners. There's not a lot of focus put on that. The community.
I mean, I did a true crime podcast the other day where I was supposed to be the, voodoo person or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But that's why people think about voodoo, because it's always this kind of sensationalist or whatever. And I'm always complaining that people don't pay attention to the good stuff. I have a friend who runs an organization called Dominicans Love Haitians. And every year she has a black doll drive. So all of my god kids and I, we run out and we buy black dolls, and then they get shipped to the DR and Haiti and Puerto Rico. So these little kids will have dolls that look like themselves. I remember I couldn't find a doll that looked like myself, and I was so sad. And it's not right. It's not fair.
Right. Yeah. I think that importance and that staple presence in the community is something that the practice still perpetuates. Yes, we'll do magic and there might be healing rituals but we also just care for our communities, and we also just care for the people around us and try to facilitate that feeling of family. And that isn't talked about enough, probably. So I'm really grateful that you are a voice out there to share that with people and let people understand what life is like from within some of these practices that they may be curious about or may have gotten lots of, misinformation about. So
thank you, witches, for checking out the behind-the-scenes footage from this week's episode. Tune into YouTube every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern for a new episode, and definitely join us right after that episode airs for a Coven-only live Q&A with our guest co-host. And make sure to leave a review of the BetterWitch podcast on your favorite podcast platform. See you next time. Blessed be.